Fair use disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. The copyright laws of the United States recognize a fair use of copyrighted content. Section 107 of the United States Copyright Act states, notwithstanding provisions of sections 106 and 106A, the fair use of the copyrighted work includes such use by reproduction of copies, phono records, or by any other means specified by that section for a purpose such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teachings, scholarship, research, is not an infringement of copyright. Copyright disclaimer, fair use. I'm going to read out of the book of Ezekiel chapter 34 verses 11 and 13. We're going to read out of the book of Ezekiel chapter 34, 11 through 13. And it says, for thus said the Lord God, behold, I will both search my sheep and seek them out, as a shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered. Okay, this is dealing with the children of diaspora, the people that are scattered, okay, among the nations, okay. So will I seek out my sheep and will deliver them out of all places where I have scattered in the cloudy and dark day. This is going into the day of doom. That's actually dealing with 2nd Ezra 7:43, because that's going to be the day of judgment. And that day of judgment is getting closer and closer. Let's read on. Okay. Verse 13, it says, and I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries and will bring them to their own land. Okay, this is going into this final exodus that's getting closer and closer based on the world events. Read on. And feed them upon the mountains of Israel, by the rivers, and in all the inhabited places of the country. First, I want to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honors to the mighty men, the elders, and the apostles in the community, waking up the lost sheep of the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone doing this truth and humble sincerity. Again, I'm going to say shalom. This is your brother Yahushua coming out with another video. And I want to go over these notifications first. Okay. I'm going to tell you how crazy this conflict has turned. I had notification, and this is crazy because remember, the President of the United States ignorantly posted that we have won, we're winning. He said all these foolish things only to get this email, this notification, not email. This is from, this source. It says the Epoch Times. Y'all know where I'm going with that. It says United States lifts sanctions on Iranian oil stranded at sea. So that's a bad sign for, the regime that started this. Because you know why he lifted it? America, they're losing so much money and monopoly due to the straits being cut off. They're in a panic mode. Okay? That's a bad look, and more than likely, they're gonna keep what's theirs, and I don't believe Iran's gonna come to a deal no time soon, but we'll see. It says United States lifts sanctions on Iranian oil stranded at sea. Okay. Now there was some end time headlines. Here we go. We can deal with end time headlines now. So I'm gonna show you how bad it is. It says IAEA advises advises work from home, drive slower, and don't use gas cookers to make it through the global energy crisis. Read it again. It says IAE advises work from home, drive slower, and don't use gas cookers to make it through the global energy crisis. Yeah, because it's been a losing battle from day one with that war. Okay, and when you go back to the so-called 12-day war from last year, they wasn't winning then. Okay, but now you have a global crisis because our good friends started something that they can't finish, and now the world is feeling it, right? It's about 1:30 a.m. This was yesterday about 9 p.m. Coming out of End Time headlines. It reads, Iran targets Diego Garcia base with ballistic missiles. Okay. This was 5 p.m. yesterday. It says, coming out of End Time headlines, Putin offers to stop sharing intel with Iran if United States cuts off Ukraine. Okay, because remember, that war still active. The Ukraine v. Russia, or Russia v. Ukraine, or Russia v. America. Okay, that war never stopped. Okay, as Sergei Lavrov called it, a hybrid war. That's America fighting Russia, but remember, they exhaust a lot of their weapons with this war. And we all remember that clip when Vance and Trump ignored Zelensky regarding standing down from this war, but it's so bad for the West. They're asking Zelensky for help, and the little guy probably looking at him sideways because they did embarrass him in the White House on live TV, if we recall, right? So you still have that hybrid war going on, right? Then there's this, and I mentioned this in my last city. Excuse me. I mentioned this in my last video. It says, Trump administration preparing for potential use of ground troops. Okay? And I'm going to hit y'all something. The use of ground troops in this war is suicidal. Okay? But let me finish with these notifications, and I'm going to go into the copyright disclaimer for these videos I'm going to post. It's going to be 3 videos, okay? Check this out. This is 4 p.m. yesterday, coming out of End Time headlines. Iran missile strike Jerusalem Old City with debris falling close to holy sites. So it's turned to a nasty war. And it's a war that America and the Israelis have already lost. Ground troops will be worse, but if they're lifting sanctions, it's a sign that America's trying to get out of there. But if it be of the Lord, that's going to escalate. Let's see if there's any more. Remember, again, he said they have the victory. But at 10 a.m. on yesterday, End Time headlines reads this. It says Trump launches offensive to reopen the Straits of Hormuz as Israel hints at imminent ground invasion. And it's not going to end well for them either. They have it really bad. And again, I take it from the experts, Colonel McGregor, okay, Scott Ritter, okay, the Morrisons, we redacted, okay, all those high-class cast that they invite to their show, they'll tell you straight, and I'm going to tell you like they've been saying, what happens when the United States run out of their weapons? What happens when the Israelis run out of their weapons? So it's only going to grow worse. Okay, let's get a precept. Let's get Matthews 24. Let's go to the old classic. I'm gonna try not to make this video too long, but there's some things I'm gonna try to cover. Get Matthews 24. Okay, and shalom to the 12 tribes of the children of Israel scattered abroad. Shalom, shalom. Matthews, y'all know what I want. Matthews 24. I want Matthew 24 and verse 6. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginnings of sorrows. And remember, now because of this conflict, the global resources are on empty almost. Because remember, because of the strays, due to the strays being blocked, the nations can't really set up. I mean, it was only 25%, but that's a massive cutoff regarding the global economy. Because now the nations are crying, and the nations are angry with the United States and Israel for starting this war. Okay, but as I said earlier, I have 3 videos. First, I want to declare a copyright on these videos. Okay, copyright declared. We're going to go into some serious events that went down. Now, you had the first video. A high-end member of the Trump's cabinet stood down because he felt America was drawn into an unjust war. So I'm gonna play that clip first.
And we have breaking news. Top counterterrorism official Joe Kent has resigned over President Trump's war with Iran. The director of the National Counterterrorism Center posted on social media saying, quote, Iran posed no imminent threat to the U.S. He also says it's clear we started this war due to pressure from Israel. Let's bring in White House correspondent Karen Travers for more on that. Senior Pentagon reporter Louis Martinez and ABC's Patrick Reevell in Doha, Qatar as well. Hi to you all. So, Louis, how significant is this resignation?
It's very significant, Diane, because this is a senior U.S. counterterrorism official, a top intelligence official in the administration, and he has been a very strong supporter of President Trump for quite some time. He's former Green Beret, former CIA. His wife actually was killed in a terror attack in Manbij, Syria, 8 years ago. And so he heads the organization that would determine whether there is a terrorist threat to the United States. And the fact that he says there was no imminent threat is very significant, because one of the justifications that the Trump administration has used is saying that there was an imminent threat being posed by Iran towards the United States. Now, they haven't specified exactly what they meant, but one of the things that they've pointed to is the nuclear threat, that Iran was on the verge of creating a nuclear weapon based off of their 400 kilograms of enriched uranium. So the fact that you have Joe Kent now offering his resignation is a strong indication of the division within the administration, potentially, of how the war is being carried out, and whether this goes against President Trump's campaign promises not to initiate a war and to end all endless wars. But again, very significant given his position, and especially I think the key thing to point out is his notion that there was no imminent threat to the United States being posed by Iran. And so I think that again points to divisions within the administration as we're now entering the 3rd week in this conflict against Iran.
Right? And the second video goes into how bad this war is, the cost, the destruction. Okay, I want to say fair use to this videos. I'm going to play that video.
The war with Iran is not just being fought on battlefields. It's being fought in factories, in stockpiles, and in the very limits of military power. Because behind the explosions, the airstrikes, and the missile interceptions, a quieter crisis is unfolding. The United States and Israel are running through their most advanced weapons at a staggering pace. In just 4 days. That's all it took to expose a reality few expected. Even the world's most powerful militaries can run low. According to a report by the Foreign Policy Research Institute, the scale of consumption is nothing short of extraordinary. Let's break it down. First, missile defense. The backbone of modern warfare isn't just attack, it's interception. And that's where the Patriot missile system comes in. The MIM-104 Patriot is designed to shoot down incoming threats, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, aircraft. In just 4 days, 943 Patriot interceptors were fired. Each one costs around $4 million. That's nearly $4 billion gone in less than a week. But the real shock? At current production rates, roughly 50 per month, that amount represents over a year and a half of manufacturing. In other words, the war consumed months of industrial output in days. Then comes the next layer of defense, the THAAD. THAAD is designed to intercept missiles at higher altitudes, even outside the atmosphere. Think of it as the last shield before impact. In just 4 days, 145 THAAD interceptors were used. Each costs a staggering $12 million. That's another $17.7 billion spent just to stop incoming threats. And unlike bullets or shells, these aren't easy to replace. They require precision manufacturing, rare components, and time. But defense is only half the story. Offense is where the real volume begins. The United States unleashed the ATACMS, a long-range missile capable of striking targets up to 300 kilometers away. In just 4 days, 225 ATACMS missiles were fired. At about $1 million each, that's another $225 million. These missiles are designed for high-value targets, air bases, command centers, supply depots, which means every launch is deliberate. And yet, the numbers show just how intense the fighting has become. Then there's one of the most iconic weapons in modern warfare, the Tomahawk cruise missile. Precision-guided, long-range, devastating. Used to strike targets from hundreds of miles away with pinpoint accuracy. In just 4 days, 375 Tomahawk missiles were launched, each costing roughly $2 million. That's $750 million in a matter of days. These missiles are designed to open conflicts, cripple infrastructure, and send strategic messages. But here, they're being used continuously, relentlessly. And then comes the most powerful weapon in this arsenal, the GBU-15 Massive Ordnance Penetrator. This is no ordinary bomb. It's a bunker buster, designed to penetrate deep underground before exploding. Built to destroy hardened facilities like nuclear sites or fortified command centers. In just 4 days, 8 of these bombs were used. Each costs about $13 million. But here's the real concern. That usage represents 25% of the entire US stockpile. A quarter gone. These are not weapons you mass-produce quickly. They are rare, strategic, reserved for the most critical targets. And now a significant portion has already been spent.
Last but not least, I'm going to tell you why this war is going to quickly spiral out of control. This Article 5 argument. Now, we heard a lot about Article 5 during the Ukrainian conflict. Remember, Russia actually hit, I think they hit Poland, and they might have hit a couple other places with drones. They actually flew drones into NATO countries. I think it was to either poke them to see what they was going to, to see if they were going to enact some type of Article 5 so Russia could go into Europe, because that's their plan anyways. Okay? But I think by way of false flag, something's going to trigger Article 5.
I've had this question a lot since the weekend. Since American bases are being attacked in the Middle East by Iranian missiles, does that mean the United States can invoke NATO Article 5 and bring NATO into this war? No. Professor Poutine here. Time for Mysteries Histories. There's a number of reasons for this, but let's break it down. Number one, the language in Article 5 is very explicit. Quote, the parties agree that an armed attack against one or more of them in Europe or North America shall be considered an attack against them all, end quote. American military bases in Bahrain or UAE are not in Europe or North America. Therefore, Article 5 doesn't apply. What about, though, Professor, the attack on the base in Cyprus? Cyprus is part of Europe, so wouldn't that invoke Article 5? It's kind of a gray area because Iran was attacking a military base, just the base in Cyprus that's being used to launch attacks on Iran. So that's kind of a gray area, but it's not explicitly Europe or North America. Number two, NATO defensive responses are limited to the area north of the Tropic of Cancer, where Iran is, but to the North Atlantic region north of the Tropic of Cancer, where Iran most certainly isn't. Number three, the language in Article 5 is a defensive response. So if they are attacked, on the weekend, Marco Rubio made it very explicit. The United States initiated the attacks on Iran as a preemptive attack to discourage an attack on the United States. So since the Americans initiated the assault and now Iran is responding, that's not a defensive war. They're not being attacked. They attacked and Iran is retaliating. So again, none of these reasons would allow the United States to invoke Article 5. But let's say that they tried. What that would lead to is a meeting of the Security Council of NATO, and they would decide, A, does this count? Which is unlikely. B, even if it did, every NATO member is allowed to respond in their own way. It doesn't mean Canadian boots on the ground and French boots on the ground. What Britain has done by allowing Americans to launch attacks from their air bases could technically be support under Article 5 of NATO. But really, the way this is all panning out right now, unless something disastrous happens and there's an Iranian attack in France or an Iranian attack in North America, no. NATO is not getting involved in what's happening right now.
Something's going to lure the rest of the nations into this conflict, okay? And I'm not exempting China overthrowing Taiwan. Now, we have heard this one for quite some time, but I think China's waiting for America to exhaust its weapons, because remember, one of the key elements, one of the key elements in this conflict is that America and the Israelis, they're exhausting the military might. Remember, Russia v. Ukraine v. America. And now you have, from last year's conflict to right now, you know, you look at the video and the cost of the weapons that they've been using, you could print, okay, to my point, you could print as much money as you like, but to set up these weapons that they have exhausted, it take years, and you know, America's in a very bad place. Now, this could trigger a greater judgment, but back to this whole, Article 5 conversation, the nations are going to be drawn into that valid decision, okay? It's already underway, just with the dragons of Arabia going into the Ishmaelites. You know, there's a lot of proxy wars prior to the 12-Day War and prior to what's happening now. And this is another thing, the media is not showing the destruction of the so-called Middle East. Tel Aviv is on fire. Now I just got reports Jerusalem's on fire. And as I've been saying, they're running out of weapons. Now, last week, before I go into the scriptures and wind this down, so I don't want to make it too long, I went into Samsung Act. It's called, the video is called Samsung Option. I call it the Samsung Act. Family, I'm going to be real clear with y'all. I watched, Colonel McGregor go in regarding that, and I watched Professor Mohammed Morandi's takes on it. Now, he had the better take. McGregor, I don't know if McGregor has some type of condition, because he's starting to slip up in his speech. He said, in the event the United States, by way of the Israelis, use nukes on Iran, it'll just be all types of policies to enact missiles going forward. No, that's false. Okay, something to that effect. He said other nations would set up decrees to use nukes in the future. No, that's not going to happen. If the Americans, by way of the Israeli estate, use nuclear missiles to overthrow or do severe damage to the Iranian estate, this was going to happen prophetically. The nations are going to fire back. That's called Revelations, the 17th chapter. There will be no more policies at this point, and this is what Professor Mohammed Morandi was going into. It'll be a catastrophic domino effect, because if they use this Samson option and they push that, whether it be the current prime minister, a lot of reports he's dead. None of the reports just say he's in a coma. We don't know what that story is, but he had been making the news, although they tried to make some AI videos showing that he was at a diner or some type of coffee shop, and another one showed him at a press giving a speech. All reports of just AI videos. The last report I got from an independent source stated that he's in a serious coma and he may not get out of it. Okay, but in the event someone else replaces him, they may enact this Samson option. And I'm telling y'all, Israel, don't sleep on the nations retaliating. Because there's no breakdown in this oracle where Jacob's trouble gonna be Israelites walking around in gas mask, and no, that's not there. There's an account in Revelation when the Most High say he come quickly. Okay, that'll probably be the day. Okay, and do not sleep on that. If they shoot nukes, I believe, I'm speaking as a man, whether it be this year, next year, the following year, or the following year, because none of us really know the day, the time, and the hour when such a time manifests. If that happens, we're out of here. So let's get some scriptures, and we're gonna wind this video down. Okay, we're gonna stay in the book of Ezekiel for a little bit. Okay, let's read Ezekiel 37, 21 through 25. It says, "And say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whether they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land." That's Ezekiel 37 and 21. And I'm going to say this to all you newcomers in the truth. Okay? Don't worry about this whole thing where they're going to shoot nuclear missiles. They have to shoot the nuclear missiles so this exodus could happen. Okay? Nuclear missiles have to fly emphatically. Okay? Because if nuclear missiles don't fly, we don't leave. There's this fake doctrine that goes up on TikTok and other social media platforms where we just work and we get delivered. No, that's never ever going to happen. We're going to get saved when the missiles fly. Chiefly when the trumpet goes off. Okay, that Thessalonians account, try to post that. And then we'll be out of here. But to that time, we have to wait, labor, work, and survive the days of Jacob's trouble. But reading on, Ezekiel 37, and I want verse 22. It says, "And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more two nations." This is dealing with the regathering of the children of Israel, all 12 tribes, Revelation 7, okay? "Neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all." Verse 23, "Neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their God. And this gashes your spiritual Israelite rhetoric, okay? That kills this doctrine with all these apologetics, former Israelites turned apologetics, teaching this silliness of a spiritual Israelite for all nations, kindreds, and tongues. No, the nations are going into servitude. They're going to be in servitude and slavery forever under the Israelites, okay? There will be no equal salvation in that day. And due to the current events, that's very serious. This is serious times that we're in now. And it's only getting worse. As I said, and take it from Brother Yawasop Israel, if that Samson option ever happens, I believe, I'm only saying again as a man, we're out of here. Okay? There's no way. I mean, Revelation 17 is not there for nothing. The nations will turn on America in a hot second, and the missiles going to come over here. That's when this Exodus is more than likely to happen. But let's read on. Okay? Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse 24. It says, it reads, and David my servant shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them. Okay? And that's a link of Amos 9, I believe in 11, because that same precept comes back with David being the king. Okay? And, when you go back up to Ezekiel 37 and verse, I think that's 23, it mentioned the mountains of Israel. That's 22. That links up with Isaiah 2 and 4 and the Micah 4 and 3. Again, that didn't happen after World War II. And when you look at this news, I'll be easy. I don't get shut down. I don't want my video struck. It's just common sense. Y'all know where I'm going. I'm just, being friendly about it, because I don't want the video to get struck. It's just common sense at this point. I am hinted at doing a Rumble video after this and let it rip regarding that, but I'm not doing that for this YouTube video. But it's just common sense. And I'm going to say this. When Steve Witkoff and Kushner knowingly went into a hearing 4 weeks ago, and you know what's sad about that with those two guys? Those are real estate, those are high-end real estate guys. They don't even have knowledge of war. But the whole thing was to go to war anyway, and here we are. Here we are in mid to late March. Oil prices, gas prices, now grocery prices even spiking again because they wanted to go to war. Well, it's not looking too good now. And this is the Lord judging the nations. Let's get Obadiah 1 and 15. It's just what it is. And Israelites, don't get involved with their civil wars and their geopolitics, okay? The Lord is setting the stage to get us the hell out of here. That's why I'm reading Ezekiel. And based on what's happening, don't sleep on this coming judgment day. I'm going to keep servicing this. In the event that Samsung option pop off, we gone. I don't see nothing. I found nothing in this oracle to say the Israelites going to dwell under toxic nuclear fallout without a deliverance. That's not in the Bible, y'all. That's not in the scriptures. You're not going to find it. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, you're not going to find in the last days the children of Israel going to be on some post-Terminator 2 dodging ice troops after nuclear missiles said, no, that's not that. Or literal cyborgs with all this AI stuff out here, right? Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 15, and it says, or it reads, Obadiah 1 and 15 reads, for the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. And look at this war. This war is it's just increasing. Okay. Now they might be talks, there's a lot of news going on, at least through independent sources. You know, Putin has been working close with Iran to get a ceasefire, and he's trying to negotiate with the Americans. But when the smoke clear, this Article 5 still gonna pop off. Again, China can take Taiwan, or Russia could just bomb the United Kingdom. I hadn't been posting those videos, but Putin, he don't like them. And we all know that's following this war. I know my brothers on the corners, okay, teaching the word of the Most High. They've been teaching that, how Russia could easily bomb the United Kingdoms or the other parts of Europe to escalate things. And they might. Okay, Article 5, one way or the other, is going to be enacted. Now, the worst case scenario, as I continue to say, is this Samson option. If that's enacted, I believe we're getting out of here. Okay. You won't find in the last days. I just read y'all in Ezekiel how the Israelites going to get saved. There's no breakdown where they're going to be stuck in some post-Holocaust America. Okay. This is not in there. The Most High is going to save the elect children of Israel. See if I missed anything before we wind this down. Okay. Ezekiel chapter 37, stay in the book of Ezekiel. Chapter 37, verses 25. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob, my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, and they and their children and their children's children forever. Okay, and my servant David shall be their prince forever. That's dealing with the elect into Zion. Okay, this whole thing is for our deliverance. Yeah, the sojourning in ancient Egypt, that's the entire Exodus account. A lot of us are preparing for Passover now. There's going to be a huge, rerun of how the 12 tribes of Israel were delivered. What's this thing called? The unleavened bread, Passover and unleavened bread. Okay, Yahushua is our Passover. And salute to WF5. They did a video going into this our Passover. Family, I'm not saying that. And I doubt if they said that. It's just to get views. I can't tell you this is our last Passover. I have to partake in the Passover because I labor in the truth. Okay, I've been laboring in the truth 13 solid years. And based on the global war, the economy, you got to consider the chaos that surrounds this earth. It's bad, and it's exceedingly bad, and it's only intensifying. Okay, you have to consider, could this be the time? Yea or nay? I don't know. But 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, the warning signs. You cannot ignore these warning signs. I actually missed the notification where Amalek, okay, even said, he said that Yahweh is coming this Passover, which I don't believe. Okay. Once you put a date on it, you're already out of the game. You're not supposed to put a date on it. Like, this event all last year where apologetics and their Christian servants went into giving dates for the rapture. It never happened. But based on everything happening right now, don't sleep on these warning signs. That's all I'm telling y'all. Okay. Couple more. Ezekiel 39 through verses 25 through 29. We're going to read Ezekiel 39 verses 25 through 29. I'm going to wind it down, I promise. It says, therefore, thus said the Lord God, now will I bring again the captivity of Jacob and have mercy upon the whole house of Israel, and will be jealous for my holy name. Okay, that was verse 25, because that's happening now. This is a link up with 2nd Ezra's, I believe, 2nd Ezra's 15:11. I think that's a link up to, because the Lord's gonna, he's gonna bring the old curses back and deliver the children of Israel as he delivered them from Pharaoh during that sojourning in Egypt. Okay, remember, ancient Egypt was a sojourning. That wasn't the prophecy. The prophecy was the United States of America and the surrounding nations where the 12 tribes were scattered. That did not happen in ancient Egypt. Okay, ancient Egypt was about when you do the time from Genesis, I believe that's 12 or the 15th chapter, when Abraham had the dark vision. From that time to the end of that sojourning, it was only about 250 years. So that was not the prophecy for you newcomers. Okay, the prophecy was the slave passages, chiefly from the sub-Sahara to the transatlantic and the other slave passages that followed as well. That was the prophecy. So the Israelites' exodus, the final exodus, is going to happen on this side, and we could be coming into it, but I don't know when, family. Let me read on. I'm just saying, let me read on. Okay, Ezekiel 39 and verse 26. After that, they have borne their shame and all their trespass, whereby they have trespassed against me, when they dealt safely in their land, and none made them afraid, when I have brought them again from the people and gathered them out of the enemy's lands and scattered them in the sight of my nations, in the sight of many nations. Okay, that was going into the punishment. Okay, and as I teach, as most camps of Marshal Yashala, camps similar, we teach Israelites were scattered among the people. Okay, let's get a precept. I want to show y'all something before I end this video. And these Ezekiel accounts, it cuts that doctrine. Sorry. Salvation is only for the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. That's that. The nations are going into slavery, and the children of Edom, these elites that control this earth, and they're collapsed now, they're going to perish forever. Okay? Let's get John 7. Let me make this real quick. Stay up on this news. And if you've been in the truth, 1 year to 13 years to 20 years and above, you have to stay in it at this point. Okay? And yes, you're subject to the Passover. Okay? John 7. Real quick. And this is a basic cut to anyone that want to challenge is spiritual. I'm already shredding it with the Ezekiel accounts, but I want to go here. John 7 and verse. There it is. John 7 and verse 35. This is it. I'm going to read down to 36. It says, I'm going to start at verse 35. John 7 and 35 says, then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go that we shall not find him? Will he go into the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? I'm going to read it again. And that's the end of your spiritual Israelite doctrine. This Exodus that's about to happen, this is for the elect children of Israel. That's it. And if you're not found written in the Lamb's Book of Life, when these nuclear missiles come this way, you're going to turn to dust. Okay? This is really for Israelites. that's in the knowledge and the Israelites that refuse to repent. If you're not found written in the Lamb's Book of Life, when these nuclear missiles begin to come over here, it's over, man. You can get turned to dust, and that'll be the end. That'll be demise. Okay. John 7:35 from the top. It says, "Then said the Jews among themselves, Whither will he go that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles?" Okay. What manner of sayings is this that he said, "Ye shall seek me, ye shall not find me, and where I am, thither you cannot come." Okay, that's going into Christ. If I'm good for it, that's him giving really like a parable before he's, crucified, and he'd be with the Father until he's called to deliver us. Okay, that's what that's going into. But to the point, the 35th verse, okay, as I said earlier, the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel were scattered among the heathen nation, chiefly Edom and the rest of the nations abroad. Okay, and as I've been reading, this final Exodus, we're going to be delivered from among them. Okay, and I'm going to always try to resurface these. This teaching destroys any hope of a spiritual Israelite doctrine, and it rips to shreds that they're going to have the same salvation as the Israelites in this day. That's quickly approaching. Let's finalize this lesson so I can. Y'all know doing these videos takes work. So let's close out Ezekiel 39 and verse 28. "Then shall they know that I am the Lord their God, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen, but have gathered them unto their own land and have left none of them any more there. Okay, neither will I hide my face any more from them, for I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel, said the Lord God." Okay, that's going into what? Our deliverance. Okay, into Zion. Okay, and we pray that that time comes quicker and quicker. Okay, because the United States, I'm gonna continue to surface this. The United States is rogue, man. It's a rogue country. It's a draconian state. It's a country without a law now. Okay, and I listened to the elder from Chicago. He goes into how what's this thing called child support is illegal, and he goes into other lessons regarding that. Okay, shout out to brother Malachi. I think he's part of the GMS. He's one of the GMS elders, and he goes into that. I'll tell y'all worse. Okay, I can't put a case number out because that thing's still being fought through other channels. If you think child support's bad, try this. You fighting, you put 3+ years litigating, and you have a witness tampering and retaliation in the heat of case, and they still find ways to push you into other avenues. I'm gonna leave it there. Okay, I'm gonna say this: if you file a lawsuit and someone witness tampers in the midst of that case, by their own court rules, especially SDNY, Federal Rules Civil Procedure, y'all know what I'm talking about, especially those out there litigating. If someone witness tamper or obstruct justice, the case is over. The case is won right there. But it's so wicked, they just ignore things now. And we know chiefly with my case, it was because of this glorious brown skin right here. That's all that was about. But, I'm going to speak as a so-called citizen in the state. What about all the taxpayers that have similar cases? And now you have, we know who's running these places. I don't want to get in trouble, but that's unfortunate. But to my point, I'm looking forward to our exodus out of here. Okay. And I think that should be the mindset on all the Israelites that's laboring in this truth, okay? That the Most High is about to get us the hell out of here, okay? America's done, y'all. It's a matter of time and season before these nuclear missiles come here, okay? We pray for that destruction because we know when they come, our exodus comes with it, okay? Hosea 1, verses 10 and 11, almost done. It says, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it is said unto them, ye are not my people, okay, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God, because they call us black. This little light sweater is black. My skin's not black. That's a hateful social construct, okay? There's no such thing as black people, and there's no such thing as white people. There's no one walking around like this copy paper. That's games that the elite set up. That's a game they've been playing for a long time, but from the looks of things, it's about to be game over for America. I'm gonna keep pushing this. If they push a Samsung option, it's over, y'all. I doubt the nations will sit without retaliating. They may hit the Israelis with something small because it's not much to hit. But as I continue to warn, their home is here. What you think gonna happen? Revelation 17. It's gonna be open season. It's gonna be a barrage of nuclear missiles like I had in that dream. I did a video, maybe 5-6 videos back about that dream of the destruction. It's gonna be just like that, and they're gonna come in great number. That's what's gonna happen if someone over there uses a nuke. And I'm not talking about Iran, because Iran don't have intentions on using nukes. And on that topic, because they keep saying, oh, Iran have a nuclear weapon. Iran can easily get access to a nuclear weapon. They can get it from Russia, China, North Korea. But that's not the prophecy. The prophecy in Revelation 17 is the nations is going to, let's read it. Let's read it. Let's just read it, all right? Family, it's serious out there. I'm telling y'all, we don't have long. We don't have long. Revelation chapter 17 and 16. Straight to the point. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Okay? Yeah, they're going to send them missiles over here. That's what's going to happen. Okay? If that Samsung option plays out, it's over. I believe we're out of here. Okay. Let's get Matthew 24:29 and verse 31. I'm winding it down. It says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Verse 30, that's going into the destruction, okay? And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And that the tribes of the earth mourning, that's twofold. That's dealing with wicked Israelites, but that's dealing with the heathen nation chiefly right here in the United States of America. Because on that day, it's not going to end well. And billions of people are going to die. They're not going to just hit America. They're going to hit a lot of places. But the Israelites are going to be delivered into a safe place in that time. And that time, based on everything happening on this planet Earth right now, it's bad. It's bad, and it's only getting worse. And it's so sporadic and quick. This isn't a good time to get out the knowledge of this glorious truth right here. Because I feel in the spirit, if not this year, maybe later, the signs are just overwhelming at this point. Okay? We're gonna end it here. Last one. So I gotta make this video. Mark chapter 13, verses 26 and 27. It reads, "And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And then shall he send his angels and shall gather together his elect from the four winds," meaning four corners of the earth, "from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven." And that's when the chariots of the Lord is going to gather up the elect children of Israel and deliver us to the other side. First to the wilderness, Ezekiel 20, 34 to 38, then to Zion. Okay. But with that, I'll give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai. Double honors to the mighty men, the elders, and the apostles and community, waking up the lost sheep, the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone doing this truth and humble sincerity. Israel, I love y'all. We got next. Shalom.